Boom. Hello and welcome to the Basketball Addicts Podcast.
Yeah.
And today we have, like every other day, we have a good one. I
Awesome.
mean, Christopher Muhammad. This is
Don't put my
going to
full
be
government up
some
there.
serious top tier podcasting. We
Yep.
had the Dallas Mavericks pull off the amazing upset against the Suns. We get to talk about the matchup between the Mavericks and JSW. And then we get to talk about the Bucks versus the Celtics and the Boston Celtics versus the Miami Heat. We get to choose our NBA champions. See who we think is going to win the actual Eastern and Western Conference Finals. It's going to be extremely fun today, Chris.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. I just wanted to say before we get started, I was right. You heard it here first. I
Yeah,
was right. I
it's
picked
true.
all underdogs. The only one that I got wrong was John Morant and the Grizzlies, and I think they would have won that series had
Ooh,
John not got injured.
couldn't
That
disagree
series
with you
was
more, but okay.
that's fine. But I ride with the underdogs. I was right about Dallas. I said
Hmm.
Dallas in 7. Go back, watch
Yeah,
the tapes. I said the Celtics was going to win.
yeah. I completely think that this is insane. I think the first thing we should talk about is the most pressing issue, the biggest one that is going on right now. The Dallas Mavericks beating the Phoenix Suns. Chris, your
Yeah.
takeaway.
Luca's that guy. Luca should have wore a shirt during warm ups and said, "I'm him," because he's him. He's him for
Yeah.
sure. That
Mm-hmm.
man, that guy right there. I think he had like 35 this game. He had 33 the last game.
Mm-hmm.
Shooting phenomenally. I said before that it comes a time in a great player's career where they have to step above and rise to the occasion of the challenge. The Phoenix
Mm-hmm.
Suns are they're going to be back here again. They're that type
Yeah.
of team. They're a great team.
Well.
Dallas Mavericks didn't have that much going into there until we saw like Jalen Brunson drop 41. It was like, who's this guy?
Mm-hmm.
So they had so I think that it was a great series. I never lost faith at all. I've had the doubters. I've had the
Mm-hmm.
doubters.
Me.
Um, of course, because you was like Phoenix is too much for them, and I was
Yeah, I
like,
did.
but I said this. You can even go to check our TikToks if you want to. I said that Luca he's gonna have these games where he's gonna step above. This is his coming out party. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like we watched him against the Clippers. We watched him excel against them and was like, oh, these are close games. We actually see him win now. Now he's a true threat and coming out of the West. Because I mean, it's possible. Anything's possible when you have Luca on your team, especially when a young, hungry superstar like that. Anything's possible.
Yeah, I think I'm just gonna start with the Phoenix Suns. It was a great regular season. Even though I did choose them to beat the Mavericks, I was definitely with the mindset this whole year that they were not as good of a playoff team as everybody thought. Um, Even though I still think they should have won the series, I don't think this is any negative indication on Monty Williams or CP3 or Devin Booker. You know what I mean? Like they did their best. Just that team's just oddly built. Um, my takeaway from that is it's sad because this might be the last year of CP3. He's probably 37, 38 next year. Like age, father time, it gets us all. You know what I mean? It's inevitable. And they might not be the same team next year. And CP3 might never be the same. This might have been the last year where he could have been a top 3 player in NBA champion team.
Mm-hmm.
Um, my takeaway on Dallas is wow, celebrations. I mean, first things first, I live in the Dallas area right now. I've seen Luka Doncic jerseys everywhere today. I mean, he's a living legend here. And my takeaway is Luka is that guy. Luka Doncic is one of the best players in the NBA, and this series cemented him top 3. You might even have the conversation for him being 1. I feel like him, Embiid, and Giannis. are all in that tier.
Hmm. I
The
couldn't agree with that more.
Superman, yeah, the Superman cape he put on this series was unreal. Unreal because they had four guys who could guard him. Four. Devin Booker, Jay Crowder, Mikal Bridges, the one guy from North Carolina, Cam Johnson.
Yeah,
I mean, that's like 6'7", 6'8" defenders galore there. Um, and he really just did a great job. Jalen Brunson did a really good job. Spencer Dinwiddie really did start in their role. They shot really well from the 3-point line this series. And Jay Kidd put on another coaching clinic. He's such a phenomenal coach. And my takeaway is that this team is special. This Dallas Luka Doncic is just he is the future. He is now. He's so special.
yeah. I will say this about the Phoenix Suns, at least from what I was seeing,
Mm,
especially after you look at the box score, Devin Booker wasn't really playing like Devin Booker. I'm thinking that there might be some kind of nagging injury. Remember, he hurt his hamstring and then he came back the following game. He really wasn't supposed to
mm-hmm,
do that because it was never reported. I think that might have really had an effect on the way he was able to play because
mm-hmm.
we don't see Devin Booker go for 19 points and 35% shooting. I mean, defense is one thing, but Devin Booker is a bucket. You know what I mean? He's one of those
Yeah.
guys who's going to get you 20 to 25 points on a nightly basis. And for him to shoot under 50%, it had to be something that was bothering him. I think that hamstring, maybe it might be something a little bit more. I wouldn't be surprised that after this series and after the final and after the playoffs are completely over, that it comes out that he still has a nagging injury to do with that hamstring.
Yeah, I understand that. It's just this team, honestly, it's so surprising, you know what I mean? Like I really thought they were good enough to get through Dallas. Genuinely. Um and I do think a little bit in this series in the last few games, CP3 just really hasn't been playing the same. Nor is Devin Booker. Um and if those two guys aren't playing at their maximum, then they are not that good of a team. Uh,
Yeah.
and I think the thing that I kept on talking about, lack of shot creators. I mean, there's just nothing other than Devin Booker, Cameron Payne, and CP3. That's a lot of weight. And, the rest of those guys just attack closeouts and shoot threes, other than DeAndre Ayton. But he doesn't shot create for himself. He post catches. So yeah, I think that this is a team that I think this is good for them though, because if this wouldn't have happened and they would have lost to Golden State, they might not have gotten the nudge to say, "Oh, you're a good team, but you don't need to improve. You just lost to Golden State. There's just an amazing team." Now they might see, "Hey, we need to improve. We might need to make a trade for a guy like Carl Anthony Towns or a level of guy like that where we put all our pieces in the middle and say, hey, we have CP3 Devin Booker. We're going to go all in next year." Now you have a little bit of an inkling of that where you should really be thinking about it. That's my
Yeah.
takeaway.
Yeah, I mean, it took that, what we were saying. I think that we might have said something like that even last year during the playoffs, where there was, it takes, a loss sometimes to really show you where your faults are and where you need to improve. And I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I can agree with that. I mean, like I said, I'm gonna stick with I think it might be a little bit of an injury thing, but this is a good time for them to try to grow and evolve and not
Yes.
stand pat. Don't be Utah. Keep growing, evolving, because CP3 may have maybe a couple years left.
Mm-hmm.
But he's the way he plays, he has a great game where he
Mm.
has a chance to, like, age gracefully, but once he hits
Yes.
that downhill slope, he's going down. Like,
Yeah.
so I think that this will be a perfect time to maybe even, to make some moves if possible. I mean, you have a lot of young talent. I'm pretty sure somebody would take, maybe Cameron Payne and maybe a coupling of maybe DeAndre Ayton if you can get maybe Carl. But who knows if
Mm-hmm.
if that mean cat, but who knows if Minnesota will part with him, seeing what they were able to do, in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. I'll just bring up a player as an example.
Yeah.
Um, so what is your takeaway
Yo,
from the Boston Celtics and the Milwaukee Bucks?
I was right. I'm sorry. I gotta put it out there because
Mm-hmm.
the big thing that I have is not that I was right; it's that
Mm.
we were right. This is our podcast, even though you may
I
have
chose the
thought
Bucks.
I get it, but we're right. It was said here first. You heard it here first. You heard it here on the Basketball Addicts podcast that the
Mm.
Celtics were going to beat the Bucks. This you can go back in the annals of history and to our, and all of our extensive collection of podcast episodes, and you'll hear it being said that the Celtics are going to beat the Bucks. And I mean, I just feel amazing by that. I like to be
Mm.
right. You know what I'm saying? I think that,
Mm-hmm.
no, I didn't win any money on Boston. I should have bet. It was look, Vegas. Vegas should have hit me up. I would have whatever. Anyway, uh,
Calling in all betting websites that would like to advertise our podcast. Link
there
below.
you go. Was it sports betting? There's a couple
Yeah.
of them. Uh,
Yeah.
FanDuel, hit us up.
Yeah. We're
But yeah,
going
the Celt.
viral on TikTok, so it's okay.
Right, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Um, but yeah, the Celtics, they're a great team. I mean, I
Mm.
said that they were going to be able to beat, Brooklyn. Now, the Bucks were a different story because I believe that Giannis would just become too much
Mm.
for the Celtics. But I would say that there was a feeling of emptiness because there was a lack of Chris Middleton. I think that might have
Yes.
pushed them above them because like you have two guys, Jason Tatum. I know some people may not like him, Jason Tatum and Jalen Brown. They're both firing on all cylinders, and then you have Marcus Smart who just brings all that together when he wants to play and not be a superhero. You know what I mean? That's just perfect. But then you have
Yeah.
Giannis, and it's just when you have some this was his shining moment to really overcome, but it was
Mm.
just too much for him. It was way too much. He had a great series though. 40-20
Whew.
last game is ridiculous. Even if it wasn't a
Yes.
loss, that's ridiculous.
Yes. Yeah, this guy is the best player in the world. And I've already started seeing some people, well, this is just a sign that he's got to grow. Like it's just every star player goes through this in their time frame where they get beat by good teams and they just have to get better.
Yeah.
Hello, the man averaged basically 35, 15 and 10 in a series. Might be over
Right.
exaggerating a little bit, but it's not that far off. Um, so it's just people like that are crazy. First things first, the fact that he pushed the Boston Celtics to 7 games without Chris Middleton. Hello. Second best player in the team, the man who averages 20, a borderline all star, who would have made the difference in the series and they would have beat the Celtics. This is oh, that's an interesting topic, Kyle. We might talk about that. So it's an interesting thing where legitimately they would have beat them. And my takeaway is Giannis is that guy in the NBA right now. He's the best player. What he does is everything: passes, dunks, great Euro steps, uses his body to its fullest extent,
Yep.
makes everybody else around him better. And anybody that says their takeaway from that series was, man, Giannis just has so much room for improvement. You don't know basketball. You
Exactly.
just don't.
Exactly.
My takeaway on the Celtics: one, Al Horford. This was a renaissance man this year. Dear goodness. You know what it might be? The guy sat on the bench for a year for OKC, so his age might be a little um faking of the fact that he might not have that mileage on him as much as he would at his real age.
Yeah.
So that's why I think he's been playing so good. And that's just phenomenal for Al. Al has had an amazing series. He looks amazing this, and JT and Jalen Brown really answered that bell and answered the call to be superstars. They carry this team. The team goes as they go. Marcus Smart almost tried to lose the series by himself.
Yeah.
Um,
You definitely try to lose it.
uh, Marcus Smart, you're not the best player of the team. Stop trying to take the last shot, second shots.
Right.
Oh my gosh, two turnovers against Drew Holiday. Drew Holiday owned him. One thing I'm worried about the Boston Celtics a lot is they don't look like winners. What I mean
Hmm.
by that is winners execute when it's high pressure moments. I did not watch a last 2 minutes of a game where the Milwaukee Bucks didn't look like miles ahead of them of executing in the high pressure moments in the last 2 minutes of the game. And that scares the crap out of me going against Miami, who executes every second of a basketball game.
Yeah.
Because this series should have been over in six. They should have executed when they had the chance to put him away, but Marcus Smart gets those shot. And it's not just Marcus Smart; it's guys not getting the right ball in the right moments in time. Them looking like they don't really know what to do in high pressure situations. They're young in the sense of being winners. So it's very natural for a team like that to take time to grow and to learn how to execute in the high pressure playoff situations. So that's something I'm worried about. Um, so yeah, Boston Celtics move on, man. It was a great series. Do you have any takeaways before we start talking about these matchups? That's going to be bedlam in the streets.
Great matchup. I'm riding with the Celtics all the way. Celtics in the NBA Finals, man.
Whoa, okay, so that's your takeaway. So Celtics versus the Heat. Why do you think they win?
I think it's
And
gonna be a
how
great
many?
matchup. I think they're going to push them to seven. I think they're not completely evenly matched because I think that Victor Oladipo Tyler Hero combo kind of pushes them above because they have about three legitimate top three. I mean, like three legitimate scores. So then the matchup
Mhm.
might be a little bit uneven. But I think with if Marcus Smart can play to his abilities and really facilitate at a high level, then that could be a real difference maker because you have the Celtics have a level of defense and they can be firing on all cylinders, not offensively but defensively, that could make a difference.
Hmm. Well, Chris, like usual, we disagree.
Am I
I'm
gonna be
taking the
right?
Miami Heat. I'm
You're
taking the Miami Heat in
you're like
six.
over 4 right now.
Hey, whoa. I don't know about that one. I don't know about that one. Okay, I don't know about that one. I don't know what I've been wrong or right on off the top of my head, but I don't know about that one. You chose the Memphis Grizzlies to beat the Golden State Warriors, so I can't be 0 for 4. Um,
You're like 1 for 2. It's fine.
uh-huh. See how those numbers are changing real quick. You did go 1 to 3, you went 1 to 2. I see you.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll see what happens. When I'm
Yeah.
right. Miami
Let's
Heat
put a
beat the
water on it.
Boston Celtics. I'll put water on it. I don't know what you
Yeah,
mean by
put a
that, but
water.
I'll put
Put a
water.
water on it. Put a water on it.
Okay. The reason why I think the
Why?
Miami Heat will beat the Boston Celtics in six is because they're the better team. Let me talk to you. Who's the
I'm
better
listening. Talk
defense?
to me then. Talk to me
Better
then.
defense?
Miami.
Exactly. One of the biggest strengths that the Boston Celtics have is their defense. I don't care because the other Miami Heat, you have Bam Adebayo. All those pick and rolls, Jalen Brown be running, Marcus Smart, exposing the center, non-existent in the series. Basically, you just got exited out. Okay, Bam Adebayo is a scary matchup for Jason Tatum and Jalen Brown because he's just so lanky. They got PJ Tucker. He could throw out another one of those guys. I got Jimmy Butler. That's wing death over there. Who is Jason Tatum and Jalen Brown going to expose? Nobody. In the Nets series, they could attack Patty Mills. They could attack, Blake Griffin when he was in the game for a short stint. And in this series against the Milwaukee Bucks, they could attack guys like Grayson Allen. Weak links. That does not exist against the Miami Heat. It's defensive stopper with defensive topper on top of defensive stopper. And who is Marcus Smart going to guard? Tyler Hero is 6'6". Marcus Smart is 6'3", and he's going to be starting, so he's not going to be getting off the bench like Tyler Hero. Who is he guarding? Kyle Lowry? He's not gonna guard Jimmy Butler. I mean, who? No, he's not. So he's non-existent. So
DPOY, he better
plus,
guard the best player on the floor. What do you mean?
no, he's not. They're gonna put Jalen Brown on him. Or Jason Tatum. They're gonna rotate those two.
I mean, yeah,
But the
on
thing
Jimmy, of
is,
course, yeah.
yeah, yeah. But here's the math. You ready for this?
I'm listening.
It's very simple. Victor Oladipo plus Tyler Hero equals 30 points, aka that's Jason Tatum. Jimmy Butler plus Jalen Brown equals Jimmy Butler equals Jalen Brown offensively. So then we have to battle Bam Adebayo versus Al Horford, Kyle Lowry versus Marcus Smart. Who would you rather have? Kyle Lowry by 5,000 gazillion miles. Gabe Vincent. I didn't even bring up that one guy, Max Strauss, who shoots the lights out the ball. They got Duncan Robinson on the bench for what I don't know what reason. And all this depth, all this scoring, that's a lot of bench scoring that they have over there in Miami. They run a lot of good sets. This team is very consistent. And Jalen Brown and Jason Tatum do have moments where they might not show up as much, right? They do have off games.
Yeah.
And so when I view it that way, I say, oh, Jason Tatum and Jalen Brown are both going to have one off game in this series. I don't see the Miami Heat losing both those games ever in 1,000 years. So they're already up 2-0 in my head. So that's why I'm going Miami Heat in 6. And this whole series is going to be in Miami. Miami Heat in Miami. The home court advantage is the first time Boston Celtics have had to face somebody with a home court advantage. I'm going Miami in 6. And it's going to be an amazing series.
Celtics in 7. I know I spoke on the defensive side of things, right? But you do make a good point. The calling card of the Miami Heat has always been, since they acquired Jimmy Butler, has always been that their defensive capability is leaps and bounds above the rest of the NBA. We know that. We get that. And you just said that 2 players equal 1. So you don't think that you said that Victor Oladipo and Tyler Hero 30, and that equals Jason Tatum. Do you not think that Jason Tatum could rise above that? That's 2 players who can equal 1 player. These are 2 superstar scorers versus 3. I wouldn't even say that Jimmy Butler is a superstar scorer. He's a superstar, but he's not a superstar scorer.
In the playoffs, he's a superstar scorer. And the man dropped
Sometimes
40. I don't know about that.
he dropped 40.
Man's averaging 30 in the playoffs.
He dropped 40, and then he dropped like 45. Okay, whatever. I'm just gonna say that Jason Tatum and Jalen Brown, they can hit a level of offense that I don't believe can be touched by the Miami Heat.
Yeah, but for them to do that, they both have to go off in the same game.
They've done it before. I don't see that not happening. I mean, like maybe the first game or so because they're going to be sick off of a 7-game series they just had with Milwaukee, which pushed them to their limit. Playing the best player in the world, on the planet, in the universe, solar system. You know what I mean? Like, of course they're going to be a little bit tired maybe the first time around, but once they probably the second, third game, you know what I mean? That's when it's going to really start clicking again.
Who named one shot creator on that team named Jalen Brown or Jason Tatum?
Outside of Jason Tatum and Jalen Brown?
Yes. I'll wait.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Miami has way too much depth.
Depth. I mean, we'll
I got
see.
Victor. I got Hero.
True.
I got Butler. I got Lowry. I got Bam. That's 5. It's too much to rely upon. Too much consistency. Victor Oladipo pushed this team into a different stratosphere offensively. And that's going to be the difference. If Victor Oladipo doesn't show up, Celtics move on. But I've seen teams like this before, man. And the consistent team like this that has a lot of depth. Because, I mean, outside of their starting 5, who did they have? Peyton Pritchard? Like, who? I like it's a desolate island of empty. Oh, Cody White, Kobe White, the guy who used to play for San Antonio, the backup guard.
Oh
That's about
yeah.
it.
Dak, I can't think of his name. I know who you're talking about too, but I can't think
I
of his
think his
name right
last
now.
name's White.
Is it White?
I think so.
Okay.
But he's
I-
like a spot up guy that plays good defense and doesn't really shot create much. Like
yeah.
it's a desolate island, Chris. Because their calling card is defense. But when your strength, your identity of a team gets outmatched, you have to be better at the other team at certain things. And you're right. They do have more top tier talent, but I believe in the depth.
I believe in the talent. I believe it's
It's
going to
going
be
to be a
interesting
great
with the
series.
coaching battle too. I think it's Celtics in
Oh
7.
my
That's my pick.
goodness.
Celtics in
It's going to
7.
be a it's going to be two coaching clinics being put on. Those two guys are top two coaches. You know what I mean? It's special. I wouldn't be surprised if it goes 7 still. In Miami Heat in 7. It's just, home court advantage, depth, matching them with the strength. There's a lot of test signs that makes me think that it's going to be the Miami Heat. But it's going to be fun.
Steve Nash needs to
Jared
take a
Boston's.
master class. You need to watch this one very closely.
Oh, finish him.
You need to watch this one very closely.
That's a fact, Chris. All
Um,
right, all right. Before we start, break out the knives and the pitchforks. Dallas Mavericks versus Golden State Warriors.
do you need to ask me who I think is going to win this one? Of course, I'm
Go
riding with
ahead.
underdog. Dallas Mavericks.
What? No, no, no. You did not. You did not just say. Chris, are you joking?
No,
Did you
no,
did you? Just,
no. I'm riding with Luca all the way.
oh my god.
Tell me this: who's going to be the best player on the floor when the Dallas Mavericks play? Luka Doncic.
Luca. Who's the next four?
The next four, it's a
It's
solid
all
three.
Warriors.
It's a three. It's
Oh,
three.
Draymond's better than Jalen Brunson. I'm sorry. You got Clay, Jordan Poole, Steph, and Draymond.
I'm still picking Luca. Luca over everybody.
All right. Well, since we're going there, I'm going Golden State in 5. The reason why is first things first. This is not like the Utah Jazz. There's no Rudy Gobert to expose because Rudy Gobert is a bum. Uh, uh,
Gobert.
and a team that's built around shooting, spacing, and guard play sounds very familiar to me. Oh, we have the greatest three guard rotation of all time in the Golden State Warriors. It's Golden State 5. They move on. The great ones.
Dallas. Dallas in 6.
Okay. Okay. All right. So who you got? Dallas versus Boston.
Dallas versus Boston. Ooh.
Yes.
I'm riding green all the
Your NBA
way.
champion. Who?
Celtics. Celtics.
Wow.
Yeah.
That'd be insane.
Yeah.
The crazy thing is like only one team's supposed to be here. That's the Warriors. Everybody else is like how if I would have told you, yes, Luka Doncic is going to carry the Mavericks to the Western Conference Finals at the beginning of the season. Well, we didn't
hmm
know if Jalen Murray was going to come back. Jamal Murray.
Yeah, Jamal Murray, yeah.
And with Jokic, we didn't know if Kawhi and Paul George were going to be back together. We didn't know if LeBron, Russell Westbrook, and Anthony Davis were going to play well together yet. We had CP3, Devin Booker, and the Warriors, and somehow we ended up with Luka Doncic in the Western Conference Finals. Like nobody and their mama would have guessed that. We got Giannis and KD, Kyrie, James Harden. How are they not in this? How is it the Miami Heat versus the Boston Celtics? Neither one? I mean, man, it is crazy.
It's just a really
So you're
crazy
going Boston.
season.
Yeah. I'm going to go Warriors versus Heat is my NBA Finals. Honestly, I was really going to go upset before I saw something that scares me. The Miami Heat can sometimes go dead offensively, and that's just not a good thing against the Golden State Warriors. So I'm gonna go Golden State in 6 in the NBA Finals,
Mm.
and they bring it home. I'm
It can
going
go
back
either
to what I
way.
originally chose.
It can go either way. I think that this is
Yeah,
a really, good thing because the season has been very weird, and I've said this before, where I was even saying like it's been such a kind of a weird season where like we didn't know that the Lakers wouldn't be great and that they wouldn't make the playoffs. We didn't know
we
that the
thought
Grizzlies.
it was gonna be KD versus LeBron in the finals, and it was like locked in. This was gonna be like those two walking on water to face each other.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
if Brooklyn got swept, Kyrie's probably about to get traded. LeBron is over here in the GM office, like, I don't want you. I don't want you. I don't want you. Go home. Go home. Go home. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Who would have thought? Who would have
Yeah.
thought the season would turn out this way?
No.
Yeah,
It's great basketball though. The quality of basketball we've had in this series because of these teams just going at it, being close in talent level, has made for great TV. Great TV.
yeah,
Um, it's going to continue to be the way. In my opinion, the Western Conference Finals is going to be one sided, but you see it differently. Eastern Conference Finals is going to be an amazing series. Amazing for the people who love defense. Defense is also the key here. Defense is really coming back in its importance. All these teams in the playoffs that are left play great defense. Especially three of them play at an extremely high level. In the Warriors, the Heat, and the Celtics. So we're getting a great Eastern Western Conference Finals here. Is there anything you want to say before we answer Kyle Lara's question?
no, I think we should open the floor up. If there's anybody out there listening to the live besides Kyle, if you guys have any questions, we're gonna do a quick Q&A, and then we're gonna end it off.
Well, while we answer Kyle's question, they can type it in.
Yep,
CP3 legacy with no chips. What are you thinking?
he would be like Carmelo. He would just have medals. I mean, I think that CP3 is better. He would definitely go down still as a top 10 point guard of all time, probably the best point guard in the modern NBA. He
Whoa.
I'm talking about traditional point guard.
Oh, you're. I thought you were just completely forgetting about Steph.
No, I'm talking about traditional point guard. The true facilitator. Steph's not a facilitator.
Okay.
True
Okay.
facilitator. You know what I mean? Truly can improve and make everybody better on his team. He'll go down truly as a top 10 point guard of all time. I mean, he won't have any rings. I wouldn't really discredit him just because he doesn't have rings, but I mean, he looks similar to Melo just in the sense that he would just have medals. But other than that, it would just he in my opinion, he's still a top 10 point guard of all time.
Yeah, my honest sorry. My honest takeaway is CP3 is such a phenomenal player. What he does is he's a magician. CP3 is great at making everybody think that his teams are better than what they really are. Look at the OKC Thunder
That was
when he took
crazy.
that team to the 4 or 5 seed in the Western Conference playoffs with nobody else other than Shea Gilgeous Alexander, who's a little younger than.
Hmm.
I mean, that's a great example of what he does is he makes everything else for everybody else in the floor his job so much easier. Whatever the best version of themselves is, he allows that to be. And he is just a mastermind mentally of being able to manipulate the basketball floor and do that. So the sad outcome of this is when you are a magician and you make your teams look better than what they really are, when you face actual talent in the NBA playoffs, you get called a choker, you get called a guy who loses in the playoffs, you get called a crappy player, you get called all these negative things from people that don't really understand basketball. Look at this team. What have I been saying this whole time? They don't have shot creators other than Devin Booker. This team has one other All Star and everybody else is role players, and DeAndre Ayton's a little bit better than that.
Yeah.
But I mean, the use of DeAndre Ayton should tell you how desperate they are, because who else uses the center like that? You know what I mean? But they need him to get up shots. And you have to view it like that, where look at what he did with OKC. Look at what he did with the Clippers. I mean, yeah, they made for a lot of highlight plays, but how skilled was DeAndre Jordan, Blake Griffin? Not overly. No.
No.
Blake Griffin's a great power forward. Yes, but Jordan wasn't highly skilled like that. But he
Mm-mm.
played efficient basketball. He made everything look better than what the real talent of the team was. And that's what CP3 does. And he doesn't get exposed in the playoffs. His teams gets exposed in his playoffs. It's not his fault that he's never been on a team that's a high tier NBA championship level team, other than when he had James Harden, who was in a different zone,
Yeah.
right? That team was very, very good. And he made everybody else better around him. That's his gift. I don't think the chips matter to him. I don't think it should matter to a guy like that. It shouldn't matter to John Stockton. It shouldn't matter to great point guards of the past. Not everybody can be as lucky as Bob Cousy, to have Bill Russell, to have Sam Jones, to have Tom Heisey. Not everybody
Mm-hmm.
can be as lucky as Magic, to have Kareem, to have James Worthy, to have AC Jones, and
Yeah.
that one guy who was on ESPN for a while, shooting guard, 6'4", man, mustache. Coached the Pelicans for a little while. Man, it's gonna bug me that I forget him. But he's one of those guys, man. Great passer, and I don't think this impacts his legacy. I just think we'll have to understand what kind of player he is.
Yeah. He's one of the greatest elevators of talent, though, for sure.
Yes, that's his gift, elevating others. It's like J Kidd. Look at him taking those Brooklyn Net teams. Jason Kidd did. He's very
Mm-hmm.
similar as a player, J Kidd and John Stockton, those kind of guys. And he just should not be viewed negatively for no rings.
Yeah, but in this day and age, in the modern NBA, there's a lot of emphasis put on rings.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just going isn't enough. Doing succeeding in the regular season isn't enough. You have to win, especially when you're playing at the highest level and you're
Yes.
touted as possibly one of the best point guards. You know what I mean? So you have to perform. So I mean, for us to say it, it's easy for us to say that rings don't matter. But when you look at
Because we understand basketball.
true, but when you look at the media is going to be like, nah. They're gonna give him his flowers, but they're gonna say, well, he never won. That's gonna be
Mm-hmm.
everybody's argument is gonna be he never won.
Yeah.
For those
I
joining, we're talking about
mean,
CP3.
I think it's just a perspective thing. You know what I mean? Like Rick Barry won an NBA championship. He's not one of the greatest players of all time, like 1974 or 75, when they had a lot of players on that team.
Yeah,
Like situations make things different. Like Dave Cowens won a ring in the 70s, but he had great players on his team. You know what I mean? Like that's just the reality of the NBA. And a lot of times guys like Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, guys like that have a gazillion ounces of talent around them. like all you can eat buffet level talent. Like you're looking at Michael Jordan. Do people understand how amazing that defense team was defensively? It's the greatest defensive team of all time. You got Dennis Rodman, nasty, gnarly defensively. Scottie Pippen might have been the best player on the defensive player on the team. Michael Jordan's the greatest shooting guard defender of all time. And they had Ron Harper. They always had a 7 footer. You know, like Bill Cartwright. These guys that have rings have great talent around them. And you have to really understand the beauty of basketball to understand basketball to where if you understand basketball, then you don't talk about basketball with the rings. When we
Hmm.
did our top 75 all-time rankings, how much did rings come up when we started talking about why players were amazing?
It didn't at all.
That's the exact point I'm trying to make, Chris, because it doesn't matter. I don't care that Tracy McGrady never made it out of the first round. Have you watched that man play basketball? He's a watching living highlight when he was before his injuries. 32 a
Exactly.
game, dropping buckets on everybody. Who Kobe Bryant himself compared to himself.
Hmm.
So I mean, get out of here. Get out of here. I don't care about rings. I do not care. And this Bill Russell has 10, and he has the skill of Dwight Howard. It is what it is.
Yeah. This is 11. Correction. 11.
Oh my bad. Sorry. He's got a pinky toe ring.
Yeah. He's definitely got a pinky toe ring.
I would love to see Bill Russell in sandals just to see if he actually has a ring for his foot.
Like, but yeah, of course we would say, you know, that rings wouldn't matter considering who we think the greatest player of all time is. You
Yeah,
know,
but he has 4.
but still, everybody's the big argument is that Jordan has 6 because they're comparing. You know, they're pushing one down to
Ugh.
uplift other. That's what the media does a lot. So
Ugh.
for us, it's LeBron. If you don't know, if LeBron's our greatest player of all time. We talk about
Yes.
his impact on the game, his his elevation of others, the way that he
Yes.
facilitates, the way that he scores, the way that
Top
he
tier.
just makes everybody around him better. And we've seen it. We've seen him take pieces of paper, 2 hangers, and a remote control to the finals on countless times. We've seen him jump ship, go to Miami, you know what I mean, lose,
Mm.
and then finally break through. We've seen him take young stars to the playoffs. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like still wet behind the ears, young,
Mm.
and then trade them all away and get Anthony Davis, and then win a championship. I mean, sometimes this man he's the best. He's the best I've ever seen.
Yeah, I think that it's just one of those things, man, where people can't just enjoy basketball. Like
Mm-mm.
James Harden. James Harden has no rings. Might retire without any rings. I know you disagree with me on these things, but I think he's one of the greatest shooting guards of all time, top 5. What he does on the court is infectious. He puts on a light show the whole Rockets career. Philadelphia 76ers, he does not exist in that realm as a player. I just want to say that before I see you grinning. I see you grinning, Chris. Uh yeah, it's a guy like that has no rings, and I don't care. Is he better than a guy who has a ring that's a shooting guard position by a gazillion miles? Yes. My brain is just literally right now trying to compute somebody off the top of my head. Manu Ginobili. Is he better than Manu? Yes, by a gazillion miles. You know what I mean? Like
He's
he
better at
has rings.
flopping.
He has. Oh, well, Manu could really flop. Manu could really flop. Manu has like probably 4 rings.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He was just part of those teams. Rip Hamilton has a ring with the Bad Boy Pistons. Not the Bad Boy Pistons, the Detroit Pistons in 2003, 2004. He's
Yeah.
much better than him. Joe Dumars, really great player on the Bad Boy Pistons. Is he better than him? Yes, by a gazillion miles. Like, I don't care. I truly do not give a flying beep about titles. Doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. I
Yeah.
got you
I
on that
mean,
one.
true.
Paul Pierce? Paul Pierce probably thinks he's better than James Harden, but he's delusional. All right. Go in the shed. Nobody loves you like that. Draymond Green was right. You know what? If we ever get Paul Pierce on the podcast, I'm gonna be like, "Hey, Paul Pierce, I was reading a book the other day, and I heard Bill Russell told you that you have a gift for finding the camera after you shoot a shot." And we would just be like stone cold. His face would be frozen. It'd be hilarious.
Oh my god! Not you attacking Paul Pierce. What he do to you?
Obviously, he stole my strippers.
Oh wow. Okay, well that's all the time we have for today. We're done here. We're done. We're done. Close the live. We're done. All right, Jason.
That was worth it. That was worth it.
I believe it was worth it too. I'm just trying not to react to that one, but seriously though, we gotta go.
Do we though?
Yeah, we gotta go. All right. If you want to say anything to those listening, to those watching,
Hey, we appreciate everybody that's listening to the podcast on Instagram and on the actual podcast whenever to post on Spotify. We're very excited about the new growth that we've been having from TikTok. It's been growing a lot lately. And if you're a new listener from TikTok, thank you. We truly appreciate you guys. We truly strive to make ourselves better basketball knowledge, always reading books, always trying to learn, always watching these games, and it is an amazing time frame to be the basketball addicts and be have this podcast. So we're just really excited.
yeah. Oh, what the? How many 5-star reviews are we at? Are we close to our goal?
I don't know, but we should definitely be trying to reach that goal, reaching those 5-star reviews on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. We're definitely trying to grow. We're trying to build a community here, so we really appreciate those 5-star reviews. So it only takes a few clicks.
Alrighty, I'm gonna close the live. And that is all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for listening. Did I not close it? I think this when I closed it. Okay, there it is.
Bye.
Thank you for listening. I'm Chris Muhammad,
I'm Jason Collins.
and we are the Basketball Addicts. Peace.
Ouch.